Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, here we are, the CGT podcast.
Welcome. We're back.
Of course, I'm Miranda.
I'm Jason. We have Betty Klein with us here today.
Hi,
We have
everyone.
She's
Thanks for having me.
yeah, of
this
course.
one. Yes.
She's our guest today, and she's kind of here to talk to us about mental health and wellness, something that I think we all need to hear more about in today's times. So,
Yes.
Betty Klein is our advisor at school at CGT, but she's also worked in wellness for quite a long time. And would you like to tell us a little bit more about that, Betty?
Sure. As a result of some, we all kind of face some kind of trauma in our lives, but as a result of that and just growing old gracefully kind of thing, I embraced yoga 6 years ago. I practiced mindfulness all my life with my spiritual sect of my life. And I just started embracing, and it became a passion of mine, voraciously consuming anything about wellness. So, and my background, so all of that kind of comes together cohesively. And then my real model of wellness and resilience is my mom. So I have a Japanese heritage. My mom is 86, and I've been taking care of her. She lives with me. She's really resilient in many ways, and really is a constant learner, curious about life, and that's kept her young. So a lot of the younger people in her surroundings look to her as kind of a mentor,
Wow.
and so she's an immigrant, and she came here. So she's been through World War II, and that, every generation has something. So I think that was her thing she had to overcome, and that's made her really resilient. So you may hear like your grandparents say, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. So those kind of attitudes come from going through something really traumatic in their lives, and each generation has something. We had 9/11, and now this, and so it's all in the perspective. And I think once you survive and once you learn how to thrive in crisis and chaos, that it really serves you in your life, and you can use it for future experiences that you have.
I surely hope so.
So I also learned from her that ikigai is a Japanese word. I recently went to Japan. I'm glad I did, last year before all this happened. And I revisited my heritage, because Japan has blue zones, which are known for people living, they have a lot of centenarians living over 100 years. And it's really their lifestyle, it's their diet, but it's also the way that they live. It's Kaizen, they're constantly improving, and just really taking things as it comes with calmness and a mindfulness. But also, I'll just introduce some Japanese terms that kind of encourage me. So kintsugi is, since you're artists, I think you'll appreciate this. Kintsugi is the Japanese art of repairing broken vessels by sealing the cracks with lacquer and gold.
Oh,
They believe that the cracks make the pottery more precious and valuable, and the broken places make you stronger. So this is one of their principles that a lot of the elderly strive by after overcoming the war. This is what they really base their lives on, and so they live long lives, and they live lives of purpose. So when people embrace their purpose, whatever it may be, hard work, then they can live more meaningful lives and overcome anything. And that's really what we're trying to do, is to thrive under chaos and not just survive.
that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful. I've never heard of that with the pottery, but I think that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought we could start out with just doing a simple breathing exercise, which I use in yoga, and it really helps calm the nervous system. So when you breathe deeply, a lot of us in fight or flight, when we're in fear, we breathe a shallow breath in the chest. And that's what causes anxiety and depression. So when you slow down the breath and consciously breathe, you're able to, excuse me, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which really calms your body down. So it serves as a mechanism to do that. So if we could just take a moment and do that here in the beginning.
Okay.
So you can, if you want to, place a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. And we're going to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. So you can count to yourself a count of 4, breathing in, and then pausing for a moment, and then exhaling through your mouth. And what the goal is to elongate the exhalations. So eventually the exhalations may get to 8 breaths or 8 counts. So you want to do that about 4 times. So maybe let's take a moment to do that. Okay. And when you're done, hopefully that kind of brought a little calm to us.
I love it. I'm already calmer. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Good to hear it. So that's something that you can practice anytime. I do it like I did it before this because I was a little nervous. And and before I teach yoga, I really try to bring mindfulness into it. So what it does is by bringing attention to your breath, it causes you to be in the present. And when you're in the present, you're not worried about the past or the future. You're just in this moment. So the more mindfulness and presence you can bring into your life, the less anxiety you can have or you will have.
I agree with
So,
that.
so one thing in my research that I did, I looked online and was looking for techniques that students can use in times of crisis. And I happened to come across George Lucas, who has a foundation, and he calls his website Edutopia.
Oh, wow.
So I'll provide all these resources afterwards. But one of the teachers wrote an article, and she said, in times of crisis, students need 3 things, and they're the 3 C's. So one is communication with each other, communication with your teachers, finding that one person that you can talk to your problems about. So what I find is when you talk to that person, it already takes the weight off your shoulders. It just gets it out there. And sometimes people use journaling, but it gets it out there and it makes you feel like you're not alone. So even though we're here in isolation, and some of you may be with your family, but still you're kind of alone as a student, you can reframe that and say that this is a time of solitude. So instead of, isolation kind of has a negative connotation. So in a time of solitude, you don't have to be isolated. You can still feel connected. So communication connection is really important. And you can still connect with your friends. I know it's different over these means, but you can find a way to connect with friends and family or that one special person. And then, of course, I'll go into these resources later, but we have CAPS that you can talk to, telehealth. You can do these things online now. And as employees, we have those too. I reached out just for some preventive maintenance. And I know my daughter is using the resources. So even if you feel like you're not really losing it, it just helps to do a mental check-in, and they have health assessments that you can take. So that's the first C, is communication. The second C is consistency. And I know you've heard this, but to stick to a routine, to keep a schedule, because it's something that will keep you from feeling out of balance, or what we call homeostasis. So when the rug's pulled out from under you, you feel a lack of grounding. And in consistency and routine, you feel some grounding. So, like having a sleep routine. If you're, a lot of students I know work through the night. So whatever it be, the one that you're used to, trying to keep that kind of intact is really helpful. And then just keeping your social interactions. So one positive that's come from this is my kids are really reaching out to their grandma. We're starting to appreciate our loved ones that we maybe took for granted a little bit, and that's nothing negative against them, but life was busy, and now we have a chance to pause and really appreciate
Absolutely.
people in our lives. So that is kind of a silver lining. And then the last thing is control, and that's what I'm going to kind of focus on today is self-care. So um, we feel a lack of control because it's happened all of a sudden. It happened to everybody. There's an unknown. It's not an irrational fear because we just don't know what to expect. We don't know how long we're going to be in this. And to tell you the truth, I have a lot of self-care practices, but you know, I kind of hunkered down and pulled out all my resources in the first 3 weeks. And then I was like, well, 4 weeks and then 5 weeks. And wait a minute, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon with my spiritual practices and, and eating some junk food here and there and, just not feeling really great. And then I'm like, okay, I can readjust. So with self-care, if you're not used to thinking about it in those terms, it's making those little changes in your life that lead to big results. So when we say, when I coach clients and they're trying to make a change in their life for their health and their wellness, I say lean into the small changes. Don't expect to just total upheaval your life. If you notice that things aren't the way you want it to be, how do you want it to be when we emerge from this coronavirus? How do you want yourself to be? And you have every means to change the little things in your life right now. So it may be leaning into eating more vegetables, just or meditating 1 minute a day. It doesn't have to be a big change. It just starts with little changes and you lean into it. So that way you can respond rather than react to the crisis. We're all in the same crisis together. We're all taking it different ways, but we're all in it together. And we're trying to find means to thrive and not just survive.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's identifying who is your support. So these are, and again, this is something that you kind of know who your real friends are when you're in crisis, right? So
Yeah.
like who's really calling you and who are you calling? So I talked to my daughter last night and she said, Mom, so she's your age, and she said, I'm really kind of doing okay, but I just had a day where everything crashed down on me. So she said, I'm doing yoga more than ever. I'm eating well and all these things. But she said, even though you're doing those things, you're going to have days that just really suck. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
trying to find your support. So find your support system to keep you kind of maintaining. Because, life is a marathon, is not a sprint. So you're going to have these life skills for the rest of your life. And I'm really impressed with how a lot of students I've talked to, I've called some on the phone, are are doing the best they can. And that's really all you can do right now. And be kind to yourself and be kind to other people because they're going through different things. So realizing that and I think you guys are really understanding that the faculty are humans as well, and they may be they may be homeschooling, they may be dealing with a lot of things, and just being kind to each other, and in turn, people will be kind back. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great lesson from this.
So I do have to ask you, when those bad days, something that I personally have experienced is when those bad days do come around, no matter how much self care and how much preparation you've put into yourself, sometimes your inner monologue is still very hard to compete with. Does that make sense? The
Oh
negative
yeah.
thoughts that come
Uh-huh.
through. So
Hmm.
how do you kind of retrain that negative monologue to come through and work for you rather than working against you and your mental health?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and right now, more than anything, you may listen to some things that are motivational, but more than anything, we need that. So I try to fill my mind with positivity. So when, in the evening, you process things while you sleep. It's the rapid eye movement. And it's just, I'm not an expert at this. I just have studied this a lot. So rapid eye movement, it's where you compartmentalize things in your brain that happen to you. And that's why some people have PTSD, because they can't compartmentalize what happened to them. So before you go to bed is a real good time to disconnect and give yourself some time to listen to some positive music, like a soundtrack that you really like, or a positive podcast, something that as you process those thoughts in your mind, that those are the things that are going to linger in your mind, and not maybe a violent movie or something like that. So now more than ever, we need our sleep, but we need quality sleep. So I know people say get 8 hours of sleep, but you want quality sleep. So you want your mind to relax when you're sleeping. And then in the morning, before picking up your electronics, you just want to take a moment to maybe journal or meditate, or your spiritual practice, whatever it may be. Take that moment before you engage in any social media. And I know we'll have a question about social media. So I listened to Jay Shetty, who is a monk turned motivational speaker. He has a podcast called On Purpose. And he says there's an acronym called TIME. So the first one is T stands for thankful. So if you think of something that happened, something that you're thankful for that day, somebody that you are grateful for, if you think of that first thing when you wake up, it sets the tone for the day. So it's hard to be fearful and grateful at the same time. So it's kind of replacing it. We're going to have negative thoughts. We don't want to try to deny negative thoughts, because that just makes them stronger. So you want to replace your negative thoughts with something of gratitude or something of positivity. So that's the first thing. And then I is inspiration. So whatever inspires you, whatever brings you joy, really kind of latch onto that. And, mine is music. So there are times when I'm going through a stressful situation and I forget, oh, I really love music. And so I brought music back into my yoga practice. And it's an inspirational playlist that I use. So it could be, like rock music, or it could be kind of ambient music, but it's something that really sets my mind in a positive frame. It could be art. It could be drawing. A lot of you are artists, so it could be drawing that puts you in that inspirational mindset. But whatever inspires you. So then having like flowers and having things that are positive in my environment, creating an environment that's peaceful and calm. And of course, I use essential oils, diffusing, and some sage and things like that. But that's just me. I'm into that kind of stuff. And then so time, TI, and then the M is meditation breathing. So whatever you can incorporate in, even if it's, so meditation is basically being mindful. And every time that you come to the present, so maybe you're cooking or doing your art and you're just like really immersed, you're in the zone. That's meditation, or if you just walk and you're just like looking at nature, that's meditation. So meditation isn't something like woo-woo that you have to be in this, plastic bubble kind of thing and feel these outlandish feelings. It's just a very simple practice. And then E is for exercise or movement. So whatever that be, your body informs your mind. So if you're kind of in a, if your shoulders are like this and you're just feeling really small, then there's more apt to be negative thoughts that are allowed to stay and ruminate in your mind. So I know rumination is one of my faults. So the only way that I can get out of there is to get up and dance and get up and move and get the cells invigorated. And that's where yoga comes in. So yoga stands for union of the body and the breath, or breath and movement. And a lot of I think everybody's encountered some kind of trauma in their life. So if you don't really process that, which a lot of people kind of anesthetize or just try to think positive and not think about it. But if you don't really process that, sometimes it gets stuck in your body. And my yoga instructor said the issues are in the tissues. So that's why movement is so important. When you're moving, it's kind of hard to be depressed. You'll still have those thoughts, but remember that you are not your thoughts. The thoughts are programmed in you from the time you were young. So if you want to change negative thoughts, you really have to do something to counter it, which is move, breathe, and let your mind lean towards something of gratitude.
I love that. I really do. I've been researching a lot of what to do. Kind of, it's exactly along the lines of what you said. Just waking up every morning and having steps of gratitude that you show for what you're thankful for to set that precedence for the day of I'm
Yeah.
going to go through the day and I'm just going to be grateful and I should be, I should feel blessed that I'm even here and I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that sometimes even that, you have to practice it for quite a while and practice self-care for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just to make sure that you actually can retrain those thoughts. Like it doesn't happen immediately.
You're right. Yeah, you're so right, Miranda. And it's important to not judge yourself. So when you have feelings of negativity and it's all totally warranted right now. Not to judge that feeling, but to allow yourself to feel it, and then let it pass. Like don't remain in that spot. If you feel like you're remaining in that spot, then really do reach out to a mental health counselor, because you don't want to linger in that spot. Our minds can play tricks on us and make us think that we don't want to deal with it anymore. So why the support system is important. So it might be a good time to go into some of the resources which I'm going to provide to you after this podcast. But we do have the counseling, which you know of, and it's totally confidential. For students, it's $15, and they have 6 free sessions. So, like I said, we don't need to be in a crisis. It's good to do preventive maintenance, and realizing that we're all in this together, so we're interconnected. So if you were to say, I'm just gonna, my arm's okay, so I'm not worried about the rest of my body. It's a total thing. So you really want to check in with yourself and do the self-assessment that they have online if you feel like you're kind of teetering. And they have, for students, I'll post this also, they have recurring mindfulness sessions on Fridays. Adaptive Services has, they're posting a guide for students to support online learning, because you were all thrown into this all at once.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's also a thing. So, like I was saying, sometimes there's a tendency to anesthetize. There's a little quiz. I don't know if you've seen it on the student site. What kind of party animal are you?
Yeah.
So, stupidly, I thought it was like seeing what kind of animal you are, but it's really just kind of assess what kind of like drinking habits you have. But it's kind of fun. And, just checking in with ourselves. But a really important thing is humor. So whatever you find causes you or brings you joy and brings that smile to your face and causes you to laugh, whether it be TikTok videos or whatever, silly cat videos, I don't know. But whatever that is, to bring that into your life and allow yourself to feel some joy even in this moment.
I think that's a good segue into what I had a question for you about what practices you have when it comes to social media right now, because I know that there's a lot of really great stuff on social media, but not necessarily everything you want to see right now because you can't go out, and do stuff necessarily as you normally would. So
Yeah.
I know that there's certain people on those sites that post those things and they're like, well, how are you doing this or something, like, so
Mhm.
how do you like kind of control your flow of what you consume for social
Yeah.
media?
Yeah, so that's a great point, is that you want to be informed. So I try to, I know when this first happened, I'm one of those people that wants to know everything about everything and, just consume every information that's out there so I know what to do. Well, sometimes that that works against you because you think in your ego, in your thinking mind, that you're going to know what to do, but really this is unprecedented. We've not gone through this, and nobody knows what to do or when we're going to come out of this. So then I realized that it's really good to minimize that and just to maybe once a day look at something factual, maybe not political, but from a doctor that's factual. There's a lot of spin on the news and things like that. So you're not really, you're getting somebody's spin on things. So, and then also just like I was saying, watching something that's entertaining to you. So I know I like to watch cooking videos or silly cooking videos, or just minimizing that and bringing in the things that are going to bring you joy, make you laugh, and being careful about when you consume it. So not first
Mm-hmm.
thing in the morning, like I was saying, and not last thing at night, because you just don't want that to linger in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that I instead of like following, I was talking about this a little earlier. Instead of following people that I thought, like I know that's a thing that people do, is follow like, people they think are attractive, people who like are in attractive places. I followed things that I enjoyed and things I wanted to see. So I followed a lot of animation pages, a lot of
Yeah,
tutorial pages. Food pages. I love looking at nice pictures of food.
yeah,
So.
yeah. This is a time of real creativity, I think. A lot of creativity is born from this kind of experience. And what I'm seeing is a lot of yoga is going online, so you can take yoga from any place in the world right now, and it's really accessible. Some of it is free. There are art lessons. There's all kind of things you can learn online, which is really stimulating for your mind to really be able to grow from this experience. So now that the initial shock is past and we have, this is kind of our new norm for now, we can kind of settle into, well, what do I want to learn? What do I want to learn guitar right now? Do I want to take cooking lessons online? Do I want to get better at animation? There are
Mm-hmm.
so many resources, and a lot of them are free or minimal expense. So that's something that is better to take up your time than news and things that are
Mm-hmm.
not that hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I read a lot about that when it first all started, just about having to take breaks and really be careful how much time you're spending on reading news articles. Because I'm kind of the same as you, Betty, where I want to know all the information that I can when something's happening.
Yeah.
Not just in the world, but to me personally, I love to research that. So I had to read an article that was kind of like, be mindful, and if you have to, go to the extent of setting a timer for yourself so that you only spend
Mm-hmm.
no more than 15 minutes on
Mm-hmm.
catching up on the news, or on, because I mean right now it's all bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just filling your mind with bad news, and that's no good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the timer is a really good idea. And the thing is we will get through this, and we will be stronger for it. And the American spirit, the spirit of youth is really strong. And I feel that it's showing us resilience, that our relatives have. I think it's tapping into resilience maybe you guys didn't even know you had. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a positive.
And I think a good thing to point out too is people will say they want everything to get back to normal, and I think it's like this is like a situation. I don't want to compare it to 9/11, but it is a situation similar in that like I don't think life will ever be the same as we remember it. It'll be different for sure. And I mean, I'm not saying that there are benefits of any major disaster or anything, but I am saying that life did become better in ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they
Mm-hmm.
became more secure flying and stuff like that. So maybe there's more secure health methods or something to come out of this. You know, there could be unseen things that are beneficial from this situation. So
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's a good like
Yeah.
silver lining to look for.
Yeah, it's about reframing because there, this is a really horrendous thing to happen to everybody. There are going to be other things in life that you just didn't plan. You can plan as much as you want, but sometimes life happens. And we've all been through that. So how am I going to reframe it so I can create value from that situation? So I was telling Miranda that in my philosophy, there's an analogy of a lotus blooming from a muddy pond. So a lotus flower um, thrives, the beautiful white flower emerges from the muddy swamp. And if it's moved to like a serene, a pristine situation, like a swimming pool or something, it just won't thrive. So through that causality, how are we going to emerge from this as as something beautiful in our lives? How are we going to learn? So now that we've kind of got over the initial shock, and this has been our norm for a while, we can start to think about that. And we're all grieving something. Maybe you're grieving that graduation, ceremony, or some people had to cancel weddings, and it's all different for everyone, but we're all grieving something. And just to be, when you're grieving, it's important to be gentle with yourself, to be forgiving, and to in turn do the same with others. So that's something
Absolutely.
also emerging.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that can be one of the hardest things to learn is just that forgiveness doesn't just extend to other people, but it also extends to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, forgiveness and love, and it's so within, so without. So it begins with yourself. So that's what self care really is. It's saying, like you did yesterday, saying, I need to take a day off. I need to kind of sit back and take care of myself because I'm not feeling great. So when I feel that way, I'll go and make an extra effort to make a really healthy smoothie or something to give. You want to give yourself a fighting chance. So
Mm-hmm.
you know that we're up against Groundhog Day. Every day is kind of looking like the same, but how can I bring something in to nurture myself a little bit more? So another thing that the Japanese have a name for it is Shinrin Yoku, which means forest bathing. So when you walk in the forest, there's energy in the nature, there's energy in the trees. So it's not just visually what you see, but it's energetically what you feel. So just like if you go to Niagara Falls and or go to the ocean, there are negative ions. The negative ions, it's a scientifically proven. They cause your endorphins to react, and just like exercise does. So it's a physical thing. It's a real thing that creates a positive feeling in your body. So just giving yourself that extra um, oomph that you need to get through that day, and knowing that it's not going to last. Tomorrow when you wake up, it will be a different day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the other day. I was actually looking through my pictures, and I was looking at the pictures when I was in Greece, and I was like, I can't wait to get back here. So like like looking back, it gave me hope for the future. So I think it might be a good time to like reflect on past experiences you've had that you've grown from, or something like that. It would be a great time, like
Yeah, for
right now.
sure. So my kids have found all the old pictures, and they're going through all the old pictures and sending them to me and organizing them. And it's a time of nostalgia. It's kind of looking back at what was and thinking, okay, that was great. And I love that memory, what can be in the future. So creating new memories and just, wanting to know that, so they have all kinds of questions about their grandma and their childhood. So it's kind of like we're getting a chance to reflect back kind of like people do when they're on their deathbed. I mean, I hate to be morbid, but when they're on when you're on your deathbed, your life flashes before you, and you think, you think about all your experiences, but then you think about, wow, if I could just, get through this, then life will be so much better. And I really believe that that there will be a lot of strength and resilience and good things that come from this.
I have to agree too, and I will let you know, Betty. We have a couple students from our advisory board that would like to talk to you one-on-one about their own personal health experiences.
Okay, yeah.
So right now we have Amethyst Baker, who's about to clock in with you. I'll go ahead and let her in. There she
Can you guys?
is.
Hey, Amethyst, how are you?
Hello.
Good
Can you hear
morning.
me?
Yes,
Welcome.
we can hear you.
That's probably a little better. I'm being able to see me too.
So Amethyst, go ahead and introduce yourself and who you are on the board and just kind of what you do, what you focus on, and we'll let you take it away with Betty for a few minutes here.
Well, my name is Amethyst Baker. I don't really have a title on the board. I don't think we have any titles other than president. Basically, mainly what I've helped Cade set up the Discord, and I've really tried to be active in that, helping students, just responding to them when they post art, responding to them when they need help, just kind of, being as part of the CGT Student Advisory Board, being the students who are there to help other students. And just from there, helping come up with ideas to help run the streams, what we can do to help students get engaged. I was supposed to play Warzone with them last night, but my potato laptop couldn't get it to run at the last minute, so that was an F on that one. But that's pretty much, just kind of helping out.
Well, thank you. Thanks for what you do, and thank you to all of you for keeping this going and keeping that consistency for the students.
I guess that's the main thing, is that right now what I've emphasized, and that's kind of what we wanted to create with the Discord, is give CGT students an opportunity to network with each other, because we are a really small degree. So if usually the only people you know are the people who are in not only your grade, but your specific class time slot. And from there, it's kind of like the Discord's really small right now, but it's kind of like a snowball effect. It's getting bigger with, each couple weeks someone will join. Each year, hopefully we'll have new freshmen incoming. And already we've seen it. A lot of times people will message in the class channels. I know my Principles of Creative Design class has used it a lot, saying like, hey, are you having trouble with WordPress? And then someone else chimes in, yeah, my WordPress is down right now. So it's just helping connect students better. And then we have fun with it as well. We have channels to post, food that you like, memes, your artwork, so we can see it. And I think it also is really fun that the professors are in it as well, because, it's pretty fun. You're having a conversation, and then out of nowhere, you see Jason responding with a GIF, or how he'll sit there for 3 weeks and they'll go respond to the food channel. So it's already creating its own little community within that. And I think that's what sets us apart from not only other degree programs, but, other programs similar to us, such as art or digital media. And I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool that we're creating that. Eventually we'll get to the point that as people are graduating, they'll still stay in the Discord. So hopefully in a few years, we'll have it much bigger, and we'll probably create some more channels so that, alumni, students who, are a year or two out of college, can still kind of come back and see what's going on, what is the next generation doing. Or also even just saying, like, if we can saying like, hey, this place I'm working at is looking for so-and-so or whatever, here's a job, a graphic design job here in Indy that people are looking for. So really, again, just emphasizing artists helping artists and kind of working together as a community, no matter if you're a freshman or if you're, an alumni who's working for Salesforce on their graphic design team. We're all here to help each other. The older ones help the younger ones grow and mentor. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. We're really proud of you guys, and we're going to miss this cohort of students for sure.
So yeah, Amethyst, feel free to ask Betty Klein any questions that you have, and if as personal as you want to get, asking about mental health, that's all up to you.
I guess it's just kind of like, I don't know how it's like, what would be, how do you handle mental health at a time like this? What is mental health? Is mental health, sitting around all day and enjoying relaxation and then getting to the end of the day and realizing you did nothing that day? It's kind of like, I think the main thing right now is the lack of structure. It is really hitting some people hard. For me, I had to move apartments just now. My lease for my old apartment ends on the 30th, today actually, and I got the keys to my old one on the 15th. But it was so weird because like I couldn't get into the office. They had to put the keys in a drop box and like slide them outside the office. And then even then from that point, my mom was supposed to come up and help me with her pickup truck to move a couch and a chair, but I didn't want her to come up to Indianapolis because we live out in the middle of the country, so I know she's been fine on quarantining. So my brother came to help me, and we had what would have been a single trip with a truck turned into 6 trips with 2 cars. So it really is just a very strange time. And I think in moments like that, when you're doing something as normal as moving, and you can't just text your group of friends and be like, hey, if you want to come help me move, I'll buy you pizza. You have to think, okay, how many people could I afford to come here? Do I know that they've been quarantining? Do I want to put them in danger? Do I know that like they have immunocompromised family? Are they working right now? And you're having to think of all these factors that 2 months ago you never realized you'd be here right now. So it's just a very overwhelming situation when you think about it.
It is. It is. I mean, that's the word. It's very overwhelming. It happened all of a sudden, and there's an uncertainty. With uncertainties, there's fear. But just really tapping into the stillness. Excuse me. So, like we were saying, trying to be mindful, you have a lot going on in your mind, and we all do, is trying to calm the mind and bring in simple techniques like breathing and taking one small step at a time. So it's different for everybody. There are times that you're going to feel really overwhelmed, and there's times that you'll be productive, but just finding that structure, like you said, that's really important, to find a little bit of structure in your life. So maybe going to bed a little earlier, getting up at a certain time, and connecting with the people that are your support system on a regular basis, and just being kind with yourself. So not judging that you're feeling this way, that you're feeling overwhelmed, because you are going to feel overwhelmed, but knowing that it will pass and that the next day you may feel a little bit better. Just tapping into your resources. But if you feel like that feeling lingers and you're really overwhelmed, then I would definitely reach out to mental health professionals, which are really accessible to us right now. I'll make all those postings after this. I'm not a mental health professional. I've just studied a lot of health and wellness, so I can't speak to the mental health aspect of it as a professional. But I just know that mindfulness, moving your body, trying to give yourself a fighting chance in these times is like just trying to eat better, trying to minimize the alcohol, caffeine, all those things that we turn to that are going to kind of cause a storm in your body, because we want to give ourselves a fighting chance to process this. It's something that we've never been through before. We don't know how long it's going to be. There's so many uncertainties, and it's affecting every aspect of our lives. So taking one thing at a time. So for right now, it's getting through finals, just mustering up enough strength in yourself and knowing that you can. So believing that you can, having hope that we will get through this, and belief in yourself. And I was saying to Miranda and Jason and the rest of the people listening, you're going to find a resilience in yourself that you didn't know you had. You're going to tap into something in yourself, a strength and a resilience that maybe was latent, that you didn't have to use before, but you're having to use yourself, your belief in yourself. And that's going to transfer into your occupation, into your hobbies, into your family in the future. So just knowing that whatever you're creating, whatever you're manifesting right now with the small steps, so not trying to change everything all at once, but just be gentle with yourself and take one small step at a time. So lean into maybe 1 minute of meditation a day, and then maybe increasing that, or breathing for 5 minutes. And then just getting through the task at hand. So if your next task, I know Jason said was it Jason or Miranda is done May 5th. So focusing on that, I'm gonna do the best I can till I get through that, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. So you don't have to do everything all at once, because we're here, we're in our houses for a while. We don't know how much longer, not that much longer, I hope. But
Me too.
and just knowing that you're not alone. So as I was saying, we're in isolation, but it's not really isolation, we're in solitude. So finding things that you really like about solitude, like what do you like about Amethyst? What do you like about being alone? And just embracing that at the moment, so that when we do get out of this, then there'll be just so much more joy from that.
And I think right now, above all, it's important to focus on the good parts. I was watching when you guys were talking about the news, and I know exactly what you mean. It's so easy to just get sucked down the spiral, and it's like this crushing nihilism of you're sitting here like, this is what's going on in the world, and I'm supposed to just sit here and, do this final exam. But right now I'd say I do appreciate social media and stuff like that. I know my friends and I on our personal Discord server, at least once a week, if not every other day, someone's in the voice chat, they'll ping everyone and they'll be like, hey, you guys want to get on and play Jackbox games or something? And we'll get on a voice call and we will just play games online for 2 hours. And it's kind of like someone has this game, another person has another game. So we switch streams out, and just having that community, just that connectedness of being able to get on call and talk with your friends, and then also see how they're doing. Like one of my friends is learning how to bake bread right now. You've got 4 hours to just sit there and watch it. And I think it's really cool that people are unlocking thing, you're right, finding the resilience they didn't know they had. And I think especially right now for my generation, and kind of like this generation of college students who have been pushing themselves so hard, working and going to class and doing all this, and then just being too exhausted to go to their hobbies, that now that they have this time, it makes me really happy to see that people are turning around and using that to explore hobbies, to explore ideas, to explore creativity as they've never explored it before. Because now, you went from almost all of your time in a week being taken up to necessities to now you're like, wait a minute, I actually have time. And I think this has shown a lot of us to appreciate the time that we have, or maybe reflect, okay, maybe I am working a little too much. Maybe I can cut back on hours to have this time. So I think when we come back out of this, it's not just going to flip a switch. Everything's not just going to go back to normal. Normal as we know it, we're not going to go back to that, simply from, I think, how much people have changed, how much people have had time to reflect on themselves, how much have they had time to reflect on their situation, the society around them. So it's crazy to think about. We're living through a historical event right now. This is what we're going to be telling our kids and grandkids about. And so I think it's right now, the best thing we can do is find community in each other, find comfort in our friends, and that we are in this together, despite being a couple miles apart from each other. And I think it's important to just hold on to that together, and look towards when we can, all go back out and meet up together to play a board game. So
yeah, that's really good, Amethyst.
Absolutely.
And I think a positive that's come from this is that we realize that we're interdependent, and that it's not about me, it's about we. So I'm so proud of your generation, that you realize the importance of staying home, not just for you, but for your relatives. Like, you're not going to expose your relatives. And I mean, if you can stay home, if you don't have to work. So I've been watching New York, And because I feel like, they're at the epicenter, they're being hit really hard, and then it's going to move its way here. So, but I'm seeing beautiful stories of people that are coming together. So not just the frontline workers who we appreciate and the people that are working in the service industries, but people, when New York asked for help, they received all these masks. People were giving like their only mask, or a mask so that a health professional could use it in New York. So they were sending it from all over the United States. And then they created this big collage of masks. So that really exemplifies the beauty of the human spirit, of that Americans, that people really do reach out and try to help each other. And then I'm involved with a group that's making masks for nursing homes. So all these women that have other professions, and some may be retired, they're all sewing masks for the nursing homes, and they're just taking a lot of joy in it and finding community, like you said. And then like my daughter, who's your age, she said, I think I'm going to start writing letters. So, because I know how it feels when I receive letters, and there's a lost art in writing letters. So I also determined to write a couple cards a day, or a couple cards, not a day, a week, to people I know, because I know how I feel when I receive that card. So just the thought of, we thought that we were a self-centered generation, or that Gen Z was self-centered, but really when it comes down to it, in the moment of crisis, you really see the good in people, and you see that people really do care about their neighbors. They do care about the collective as well. In the most part, I think people have that spirit.
And you were talking about like taking joy and stuff, and I think like that's a huge thing, because I love cooking and I've had a lot of time to cook, so I've been exploring a lot of different things. Like I didn't know you could cook a Caesar salad dressing, so I learned that. So, and it makes
With
really good
anchovies?
food. Yeah, well, no, you could just take Caesar salad dressing, like cook chicken in or something. Like I don't know,
Okay.
I thought it was gonna burn, but it doesn't burn.
Oh, good.
So it was,
Good to
yes.
know.
And I've also been eating a lot like more healthy and stuff. So I mean, I've definitely been taking joy in cooking and enjoying that. So I think it's good to like find something you really enjoy and enjoy it, and share it with people. Like if I make something cool, I'll take a picture and like send it to some people I know that like we're all like little foodies. So
Yeah, that's great.
so that's a really good thing to bring up. And I mean, I take joy in, when I create too. So like I recently saw a thread on social media of hot chili peppers, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to make something like this. So I set out and I made something, and I thought it was really fun. I had fun doing it, and I learned a lot. So
That's
I
really
don't know. I
good.
just think that taking joy is a good point to like bring
Yeah.
up.
And along those lines, there's a whole thing about Marie Kondo and clearing out the stuff you don't need anymore. So the stuff in your environment that's holding energy that doesn't serve you anymore, get rid of it. We're realizing that when it comes down to it, it's our connections, and it's people we love, connections, and ourselves, and our skills that are the most important. All this stuff doesn't really matter. Um, so it's just clearing out some of the junk that we have accumulated, and creating a more serene space, a more space of creativity, which is great.
I absolutely agree.
And you guys are in a great space that you're used to working on your computers, and you can create those beautiful things to share right now with the world. And I think it is a great creative time.
Mm-hmm.
Amethyst, thank you so much for clocking in and talking with us.
Thank you, Amethyst.
Well, you're
Thanks
welcome.
for popping in.
Thank you. We actually have another student too that wants to talk to Betty. His name is Jaden Nixon. Amethyst, you can stay with us if you want, or if you want to clock out, that's up to you.
I was about to say my cat needs to be fed, so she's been pawing at my legs.
That's a good reason to go.
I locked my cat out for that reason.
I'll be watching.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Amethyst.
You guys have a good day.
You too. So now we're going to get Jaden Nixon in here. He actually goes by Quinn, but
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he has been struggling with a few things, personal, mental health wise, during this quarantine time. So he is going to jump in. Hey, Quinn, let us know when you can hear us.
Hi, Quinn.
Good morning,
How are
early
you doing?
afternoon. Oh, he's muted.
Hi.
There he is.
Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
So
Thank
yeah,
you for having me.
Quinn, thank you for coming, and just feel free to take it away. Talk to Betty as much as you want, and definitely introduce yourself. Let us know. Quinn is also on the student advisory board with us.
Great.
So yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and feel free to talk as personal as you'd like.
So I'm Jaden. I'm a student at IUPUI. I'm studying spatial graphics, and I have ADHD, and it sucks right now with all the pandemic stuff happening. It makes it super difficult to learn and actually sit down and get stuff done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to talk about.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I did share some resources, and I'll share them afterwards online. That Adaptive Services does have some resources to help students with online learning and also with what you spoke about, ADHD.
Yeah.
It is a challenging time for that. I realize that. And if you can use that resource and some of the mindfulness techniques, maybe incorporate some of those, and use your student resources as well, like your friends
yeah.
that are in the same situation. You're not alone, and it's a challenging time. It's something we've not done before, having to do all your classes online and do it all of a sudden. And we don't expect you to be perfect at this. So, be forgiving of yourself, that watch your self-talk, that you're maybe expecting yourself to get this right away. But, just take the small goal of getting through this semester, which is, not that far away, and getting through the semester, and then we'll take those challenges as they come. So you probably not, are you going to any summer classes?
Yeah, speech.
Okay, that'll be interesting, doing speech online.
Yeah.
Maybe better, actually.
Yeah, I'll probably prefer it online.
Yeah. So does that help, or do you have any other?
Honestly,
question?
you covered all of the stuff that I was planning on saying in like terms of maybe trying to help people with ADHD overcome the semester.
Yeah.
Like other than like also, yeah, you're not alone. There's so many of us, and everyone is also struggling. And like if you're sucking right now, you're not a bad person. You're not a bad student. You just have a condition that's not as well accommodated for currently, and that's okay. Like you can still succeed, but it is difficult, and we need to acknowledge that.
Are you doing anything special like in your normal routine to like be more productive than you would normally do, or have you been like focusing on different things maybe?
I'm just having a very tough time focusing, because one of the big things with ADHD is you need a dedicated workspace. And when you're stuck at your house and you're at your desk where you're, the same place I play video games and I talk to my friends, I can't focus on work for too long before it starts. I'm suddenly I'm on my phone. I've been there for 30 minutes. And I'm like, I was supposed to be doing this other thing. And I used to use the public library, but now that that's gone, I'm kind of just sitting here doing my best, honestly.
Yeah.
Trying my best.
Yeah, there are a lot of distractions when working from home, from studying from home, and like Miranda was mentioning about a timer, maybe giving yourself a timer and rewarding yourself if you stay focused for a certain amount of time, and just increasing that time, because that does seem to work for some people.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite of Quinn, in that when I sit down and start working, I won't stop working unless I set myself a timer for so much time. and tell myself once it goes off to get up and get away from the desk, because I'll just sit there for hours and burn myself out. So it's kind of interesting to see that Quinn is the opposite, and he's kind of jumping from different resources because of that focus, or I guess losing focus. So Quinn, how have you personally been trying to deal with it? I mean, what are your patterns that you're finding maybe help you, or have you not found any yet? I mean, I'm just curious from your take what you think the best method is to help you.
I haven't really found anything, but maybe one thing. It's just that, you know, working in a different space can help. Sometimes it's just that with all my work being on a computer, I can't really even leave my room. I can't really even, and I, you know, it's all drawing too, and I don't have or I have my laptop, but I can't put the drivers for my tablet on it for some reason. So I'm just sometimes out on my, you know, porch with a sketchbook. That's probably the best I can do at the moment. Otherwise, I'm in my room.
That sounds relaxing, though, to sit on the porch and
Oh,
sketch, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of it.
So have you spoke to your professors about this, like the issues that you're feeling from your end?
Oh, I'm absolutely planning on it. I need to, and they'll be understanding, I'm sure. I'm already like working at a Kroger. I got the essential employee status, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. So that's one of the aspects is communication. Is over communicating at this time isn't really over communicating. So letting your instructors know is a really good point. So they can understand what you're going through, because they might be going through similar things. They're human as well. So then they may have kids at home distracting them, and dogs and family. So it's important that to be proactive and let your instructors know that you're struggling, so they can give you some allowances or give you some advice. So.
And Quinn, you are a good student. You know, your professors look at you and they see your grades and they see your projects and they know that you are a hard worker. So I know that if you do go to professor and say, you know, I'm just struggling right now, just plain and simple, and here's why, I know that they would take into account that you've said that. They know that you're a hard worker, and they know that you're not just, I don't know, making excuses. They know that that's very real and genuine coming from you.
Yeah. It's a big worry for people with my condition and similar ones that we're just lazy and like faking it and being crap, just being awful people.
Right.
It's always good to hear that you're valid.
Yeah, I think there's so many people that have that now that the stigma is kind of removed for a lot of us. Yeah, because it doesn't make you a bad person at all. I mean, you're doing the best you can, and you know you have some challenges, and you just have to make adjustments. So I think realizing that a lot of people have that challenge as well.
And I think also realizing that the world is such a beautiful place and is what it is because we have so many people with different abilities, but we also have so many people with different ways to use those abilities. You know, sometimes we hear like a mental illness or something to that extent and we think of it in a negative light, but in reality we just think differently, and that can be a strength on our part as well.
Exactly.
Right.
Like if
You're
you ever
be
get
a
a
great
person,
counselor, Miranda.
Thank you.
whenever you get a person with ADHD focused on something that they like, that's when I get the Miranda work schedule. I sit down for 8 hours just in a row, like painting on something or whatever.
Love that. I love that. So
I think
go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say, like, I think it's really important that in like even any situation, grades are just grades. I don't think you should ever get to a point where you're completely like killing yourself, you know, like for like to get a good grade or something like that. Like I pulled all-nighters and stuff like that, and I mean, I think your work is good when you do that kind of stuff. I think it's better when you don't, because you're not like fully stressing yourself out. You're not trying to meet, like, I mean, if you meet a deadline, yeah, super important, but like you also think about this, the time to fail at life, if you fail at any time in life, is college, because it's okay to fail. It's okay to grow, because failure is part of life. So I think being okay, like, and acknowledging that, like, right now, maybe you just need to take care of yourself. That's like the most important thing. So I think being willing and acknowledging that and accepting that is like a huge challenge that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now. And I know that I have problems with like I always think I'm not being productive, and but I also work for usually around 8 hours a day on different things, and then I'm still calling myself unproductive, which is ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, also the artist mentality is that their work is never good enough. So there's that self-doubt that creeps in, which Miranda and Jason, you saw that even people of godlike status, like Dan Baldwin, says he questions his work at times, and he's amazing. So I think just realizing that there's always going to be that as an artist in the back of your mind, and trying to counter that voice with that they're playing to your strengths and not your weaknesses. So you have a lot of strengths, and just elaborating on those and not focusing on the weakness or focusing on the challenge that you have ahead of you. So, but thank you. It sounds like you brought that up for yourself, but also for other people that may be struggling. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Quinn. I think it's great that you reached out and even wanted to discuss it. I think that just shows sometimes there's such a stigma with even talking about our mental illnesses or talking about what we're going through that it can just be scary. And I think that you're very brave to just stand up and say, this is what's happening. And
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you so much.
All right, should I head up?
Okay, so do we want to summarize? I'll provide all the resources at the end, and just the 3 C's: communicating, consistency, and control. Self-care, taking time off when you need to, but just really setting the goal one task at a time, leaning into the small things that you can do to change your frame of mind, and practicing gratitude, and then also bringing in creativity and reaching out. So, the instructors totally are understanding right now of everything that everyone's going through, and reaching out and letting them know if you're struggling, letting them know ahead of time, and reaching out to any resources that are there for students, whether it be other students in a group or the counseling services that are provided or adaptive services. So really just knowing that the university is on your side and they're trying to provide as many resources as they can, because they know that you have a lot of challenges right now, but we also know that you are resilient, you are strong, and that you will get through this.
That's a beautiful way to put all of it. Thank you so much, Betty.
Yes,
That's gorgeous.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for giving me this platform, and I hope that some of it helped. If you can glean one thing from it, and I appreciate being here to be able to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for existing in our lives. We all appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you to the students that are watching. I see that there are people sitting and watching, and thank you for the students that jumped in to talk about their own personal experiences. That takes a very step of bravery, and I appreciate you standing up and being honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, all of you guys, and please
bye, everyone.
Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will be back next week.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right. See you, everybody.